On-time performance is one of the biggest challenges we have in terms of delivering them. I think, I know that we struggle, but really over the last 12 months or even more, we see a constant improvement on our on-time performance measured on departure on time and within the 15 minutes. We really, I think, improved by 20% or 20, even 5% what was our target. So basically, we monitor this on weekly basis, and we also monitor it in order to understand what are the reasons of this. And I don't want to, I can share a statistic with you separately on how do we redistribute the reasons, because of course the passengers doesn't know if it's meteorological, technical, or anything else. But we have done quite a lot of good job, I would say, together with Jomo Kenyatta. So, of course, it's not only in our hands, the on-time performance, it's also in the hands of the airport. So, yeah, we are not among the top 10 world leaders, but I think that we will always strive to be as high as possible in terms of on-time performance. And it goes absolutely with working with both Jomo Kenyatta, but also KCAA and the air navigation. And really, to be very frank, over the last month we had very regular meetings and we discussed and addressed it. And I know that it's not always visible, but statistically we have much less complaints about it and much less cost associated to the on-time performance issue.
And it's a little bit unfair to compare us with the world airlines on-time performance. And why I say that, if you look at the European airlines and particularly the American airlines, is they always have lots of aircraft and lots of spares. So they have a standby aircraft. If something goes wrong with the aircraft, they have another one they can wheel out the hangar and fly. We are not in that position to have that luxury yet. So if an aircraft goes out of service for some other reason, it's generally quite difficult for us to immediately replace that aircraft with a spare one, because we don't have a spare. We're working towards growing our fleet in the next few years. We don't have any commitments yet, but this is why we are not up there. But I think the last, Jan is not here, but he keeps on telling me we're not on-time performance. We're in the late 80s or early 90s over the last few months in on-time performance. So that's quite good.
New York full effect will be in 2019. Yes, 2018 is just 2 months of operation. So we are in phase of investing in this flight. This is what I was mentioning during my presentation, that growing profitably. We don't share what we expect in terms of bottom line. We expect that our revenue will grow by 8 to 10% just because of having this very big long-haul flight. It will be, I think, the longest flight. It will be the longest flight, where Guangzhou is not that long. It will be a daily flight immediately, going into a very important market. So it's a big, not only operational challenge, but also financial challenge. It's as I mentioned, the largest project we have, and this is an inspiring project for all of us going into this market. On top of this, that will help our regional network. This is very important element to share with you. Why do we go and take this bet? We take this bet because we will bring customers not only to Kenya, but we'll bring customers to Nairobi hub to be redistributed behind. That addresses partly the next question you had. Of course, airlines will always compete, and all airlines will always come to Nairobi and come to Kenya to take the traffic. But that's normal part of the business we are in. And the reason why we also take the New York bet is that we believe, and I believe, we're all convinced, that a direct flight, it's really what the passengers are looking at. And if you take the map of networks in the world and you just take the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the tendency is to create point-to-point connections. So people don't go through the hubs, but rather like to use the direct connections. We are here as Kenya Airways to fight for the Nairobi hub primarily. So I think that this is the right direction, and this is what's going to be the defense against the competition. Expansion of the airport is something we will be very interested in. Particularly, we are interested in the terminals. I believe that we can do much better on the terminals, have more terminals and more gateways. So any expansion of the airport that we will be capable of using is absolutely a benefit to us, and we will always support it. Because if we want to grow the network, we need this infrastructure. And I also emphasize that this infrastructure is needed also on the cargo side. So I know that the airport is viewed through the passenger side only, but for us it's the infrastructure for passengers and for cargo, which are the two main area of businesses. Mombasa is a big challenge for us, because I think that as an airline we cannot have just we cannot ignore Mombasa, but we cannot promise that there will be two hubs in Kenya, Nairobi and Mombasa, because that would be the most natural. I don't think we are mature enough, and I don't think we have the financial means to open an additional hub. However, in this year network and next year network, I don't want to commit, but we are very closely looking at what we can do from Mombasa and how we can enhance at least the regional network. So we support also the growth of the second largest airport in Kenya. But it's a challenge, to be very frankly. It's a challenge because it's always the way of balancing the necessity of growing Nairobi toward the largest African hubs, and growing a secondary hub, which is financially always more difficult than focusing on one airport. But we are absolutely not ignoring the necessity of having more presence of KQ in Mombasa itself. It's a challenge, and it's part of our life, yes, everyday life. So of course we have, I'll start with the pilots and the cabin staff. We are meeting on regular basis. We are sharing on regular basis our concerns. I'm proud to say that they know much more than the general public knows, because we are very open in our communication. And I have to say that they have access to the financial results, the budget, the cash flow. I mean, I have absolutely, as a management, we have absolutely no reason to hide it. And so yes, I expect that there will be some challenges this year coming with some union negotiations. But again, I'm kind of first confident that we will solve them, but also that it's part of our job. This is how the airline is structured. I can't do anything better than communicate openly about our challenges. And frankly, I also believe that the pilots, particularly the pilots who's been always the union, which is very powerful, understands that the only common, we are sitting on one boat together. I'm not sitting on a different boat than them. So the challenge is to grow. If we grow as management, we do our job, but also for them there are jobs and there are career opportunities. And I believe that an airline, when it starts growing, even it's sometimes it's challenging, we have issue of money, investment, etc., it's still creating much more positive mood than negative mood. So when the positive mood is there, and when the pilot that sits on the right seat can shift to the left seat, and he has a vision that it's going to happen, the negotiations with the unions are I from experience I can tell you, easier, because everybody sees that there is a way up. In terms of other labor challenges, I have a policy of not commenting them, because we are in the middle of court proceedings happening over those days. So as soon as we have them done, then we'll make statements and communicate, but we really avoid to comment as long as the courts are working.